Mary had a little man.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Hello, everyone. This is Donald Trump. Hopefully your favorite president of all time, better than Lincoln, better than Washington, with an important announcement to make. I'm doing my first official Donald J. Trump NFT collection right here and right now. They're called Trump Digital Trading Cards.
Okay.
These cards feature some of the...
I can't do this anymore. He's one of the greatest presidents in history, but I got to tell you, what business partner, and anybody in the comms team, and anybody in Mar-a-Lago, and I love the folks down there, but we're at war. They ought to be fired today. You came out with something that's so important, which I still don't think gets to the heart of it. And hey, you don't have three harder cores than Cortez, Bannon, and Seb Gorka. So when they're, and we're getting blown up all day on this, Seb, walk me through it. Walk me through your assessment of this, sir.
Never should have happened. I mean, so look, it's fun, it's hyperbolic, but whoever wrote that pitch should be fired and should never be involved in any. I don't want them making the presidential napkins for Mar-a-Lago. Okay, anybody who came up with that. And the president's war chest is pretty strong right now. We've got 2 years until the actual, inauguration. We don't have time to waste. If you want to do this kind of stuff, have a peon do it. Okay, get somebody who's recognized in the MAGA world to put their face to this thing and do it. But the president should not be involved with this.
So freaky, the whole thing, and Sebastian Gorka and Steve Cortez there, and Steve Bannon. They couldn't even make it through the entire commercial there. They couldn't even make it. And I love that Bannon and Gorka are pretending to actually believe that this sad and pathetic little grift, this sad and pathetic little scheme, wasn't 100% Trump's idea. Yeah, you need to fire whoever came up. Oh, I mean, have this idiot. My God, man, what an incompetent staffer. Convinced Donald Trump to do something utterly cheesy and pathetic and greedy and grifty. Oh, yeah, Donald Trump had to be convinced by an underling to do something as pathetic and cheesy as that. That is so bizarre. I mean, that is just so strange that they're hardcore Trumpers and, even they had a tough time with it. I mean, I guarantee you this was Trump's idea. And it probably wasn't just his idea. It was probably his only idea to grift, to steal more money from the cult members, from the loyalists, from the dead enders, from the, last to leave the party types. I mean, and somebody, agreed to help him make this video so to prevent him from doing something even stupider, like, I don't know, Trump Steaks or Trump University or Trump Water or Trump Airlines or Trump, Trump ties made in China or, this is so just like they're embarrassed is what it is. They're embarrassed by him and his greed and his cheesiness. And so now they want to somehow make it seem as if this wasn't his idea. And, by the way, you should have gotten a peon to do it. Somebody who's known in MAGA land. That would be you, Sebastian Gorka. That would be you. But I love that it backfired so spectacularly across all ideologies. I mean, it's just one of those moments that will end 2022 with a kumbaya moment where everyone agrees that Donald Trump has sunk as low as he could go, that this sank faster than a lead balloon and went over just about as well. It's just so... it's so unbelievable. Even Michael Flynn got in on it. I mean,
whoever advised him on that, I'd fire him immediately.
These cards feature some of the really incredible...
Okay, I got it. I can't watch it again. Make it stop. Anybody in the comms team and anybody in Mar-a-Lago, and I love the folks down there, but we're at war. They ought to be fired today.
Who? Donald Trump? Who should be fired today? Obviously, it was his idea. But yeah, they've got their panties in a bunch about this, baby, because everybody can see transparently that this man has never seen a scheme or a cheesy plan or a pathetic marketing thing that he wouldn't try, that he wouldn't, this is like, it's like if Charles Manson had to go back to stealing cars. That's how low Donald Trump has sunk, where he can't do what he used to do, which was command armies, command militaries, incite violence against our Congress, incite violence against his own vice president. Has no power, none whatsoever. And it's like watching Charles Manson going back to being a short order cook. Do you know what I mean? It's so pathetic. It's so unbelievably powerless.
I love Bannon excusing Trump from any responsibility as if he doesn't sign off on every single thing that comes out of his mouth,
Oh, I mean, they didn't run it by him, or they didn't run it by Sean Hannity, or they didn't run it by, Newsmax or America's News Net, One News Net, whatever it is. Of course, everybody knew. Everybody knew about this because he made an announcement the night before that he was going to make an announcement where he had laser ball eyes. Hey, Jessica wanted me to ask you, Brett, if you knew which show the laser eyes came from. Bad Boys or something?
The Boys is what I'm guessing it's stolen from. Yeah, the Homelander shoots lasers just like that. I love that Trump sees himself as the Homelander because they're both megalomaniacs and psychopaths.
Right, and she wanted me to ask you if you had ever seen a character as evil as that guy.
He's the absolute worst.
Right. And this is what he identifies with. This is what he
That's
went
how he
with.
sees himself, all powerful and psychopathic.
And of course, like I said, Google Earth it. He's standing in front of Trump Tower with laser beams coming out of his eyes. And if that's the case, then he just, eviscerated Abercrombie and Fitch, which is across the street. That's what he was aiming for. I mean, this was bad. This was, whoever did this idiot needs to be fired. I'm telling you right now, it was the best idea Trump had. It probably wasn't the only idea. And that's why somebody said, all right, just do this. Just do this one. Because the other ideas are, and that Gorka actually said, and I don't want to see them selling the napkins, presidential napkins from Magaloco, which means that was on the table as a suggestion too. Presidential napkins from Magaloco. I mean, seriously, these people.
As soon as I saw this thing drop, I texted Mar-a-Lago, I texted the comm team, and I said, who the hell had the idea for this NFT thing? And then I get a response from the team, no name, saying, oh, it's a business partner of the president's. What? I didn't run it past Mar-a-Lago. I mean, the sheer insanity. We need serious people because the republic's fabric is in danger. If Steve Bannon isn't at Mar-a-Lago, if Newt Gingrich isn't at Mar-a-Lago, at least Kash Patel or somebody sane should say, guys, just can you hold the Superman, cartoons until we've got some freedom of speech back first?
What? What is he talking about? They make no sense because it's nonsense. It's nonsense. But anyway, this is going to haunt him right into the primary season because people are going to run this on an endless loop. Do not let this be a one-day story, okay? Whatever you do, whenever you're convening for the holiday with your family members and crazy Uncle Lazy Boy starts talking about what a great president Donald Trump is, just tell crazy Uncle Lazy Boy, watch this video. This is what he's doing now. This is who you are endorsing to be the most powerful person on the planet in 2024. This is the wheelhouse in which he toils.
That'll be fun to watch them twist and contort themselves to defend it, like in real time.
Well, you know what they'll say. It wasn't him. It wasn't him. It was some staffer because they heard it on Steve Bannon's show after it fell, to the ground like a lead balloon, after it landed really poorly, like a 250-pound Russian weightlifter. Female. Marge Taylor Greene. Listen, that's how we ended yesterday, and I still have that visual in my head of her being a Russian female bodybuilder.
It's Randy at RandyRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, The Randi Rhodes Show.
Overnight, Twitter's new owner, Elon Musk, suspending the accounts of multiple journalists from news outlets, including the New York Times, the Washington Post, and CNN, for allegedly violating the company's new doxing policy by sharing his live location. Doxing referring to sharing someone's identity, address, or other personal information online. Late Thursday, Musk joined a Twitter Spaces conference to address the decision.
You dox, you get suspended, end of story. That's it.
The wave of suspensions comes on the heels of Musk's move earlier this week to permanently ban the @ElonJet, a Twitter account that tracked the location of his private jet using publicly available data, despite saying last month he would leave the account up as part of his commitment to free speech. Some of the reporters suspended Thursday night had been reporting on the new doxing policy. Musk falsely claimed that the journalists had violated his new doxing policy by sharing his live location, amounting to what he described as assassination coordinates. The suspensions coming amid a wave of controversy on content moderation since Elon Musk took control of Twitter. CNN saying in part, "We have asked Twitter for an explanation, and we will reevaluate our relationship based on that response." Now, Musk did tweet that these moves were not retaliation against journalists who have criticized him.
Of course it's retaliation against journalists who criticize him, and it's retaliation against anybody who criticized him because, this is publicly available information. You ever use FlightAware or Flight Status or check the flight status? It's publicly, available information, and the Twitter account that he's so upset about, he deleted it. So it wasn't even, you had reporters reporting on Elon Musk deleting that particular account from Twitter. And when they reported which account, they named the account. Oh, my God, they were doxing him. That's so ridiculous. First of all, nobody wants you dead, Elon. Nobody. You know why? You owe people too much money. Okay? And if you don't like all the attention, why don't you step out of the limelight a little bit? Why don't you just go and, have a life, without being the second wealthiest man in the world? If you don't want your whereabouts to be known, a good rule of thumb is to step out of the spotlight. But oh no. And if he keeps on trashing everything he touches, Tesla is gone through the floor. And people are literally livid about that because, you have investors who invested really big on Tesla stock. Other people, have it as a large portion of their portfolios. And, he's not even present. He's not even around. And the cars, the lineup of the cars is getting stale. It's getting old. There's competition in the marketplace from other electric vehicle manufacturers. And he doesn't seem to care about it. He's on to this new Twitter thing, which he didn't want in the first place. And you know what's really crazy about this account that he had such a difficult time with, and now he's accusing it of doxing him, which is bizarre, saying they're giving real-life assassination coordinates. It's just so bizarre. Because before he owned Twitter, and we were talking about this yesterday, right? Before he bought Twitter for $44 billion by borrowing against the Twitter, the Tesla stock, borrowing on the margins and also cashing out of, some Tesla stock, he offered the same person, the same guy, $5,000 to take down the Elon, a flight Twitter account. Oh, God, I can't believe we're talking about this like it's real. Okay, but the kid was a student. He's 20 years old, and he told Elon, I'll take it down, but give me $50,000 because I need to pay for my education, right? And so you would care about that, so give me 50 and I'll take it down. And Elon, went and thought about it for a brief moment or two or three, and then called the kid back and said, I don't feel right giving you money. I don't feel right about it. Then he bought Twitter. And with a stroke of a slash, he literally got rid of the account. Now people are reporting on it, and he's retaliating against the reporters. You're talking about the technology reporter at the New York Times, Ryan Mack. He went and suspended him permanently from Twitter. Drew Harwell, who is the technology reporter for the Washington Post, he suspended him. Donny O'Sullivan from CNN. Donny O'Sullivan? Really? Keith Olbermann, who just stands out on his terrace on his Fifth Avenue apartment with his dog and reads Thurber. He took him down. He suspended him. Took down a guy who writes for Mashable, Matt Binder. And he took down Aaron Rupar, who I mean, Aaron Rupar has 800,000 followers on Twitter. I'm one of them. You know why? Because Aaron Rupar literally found his journalistic talent in capturing video across media platforms relating to media coverage. So his beat is media. Okay, and that's what Aaron, does. He monitors Fox. He monitors, the right-wing broadcast networks, right side media, One America's News Network, all these things. And he actually posts these things, and people are interested in what's going on in that dark, dank world. And so he has 800,000 Twitter followers, right? They literally permanently suspended him for reporting on Elon Musk. I mean, that's ridiculous because that is his whole entire business. I've known Aaron for freaking years. Okay, I watched his little girl be born, Mia. He just had a second son. He lives a modest life, but this is what he does. Okay, this is what he does. He documents right-wing media, and people, go to his particular Twitter feed to see what's going on in right-wing media. I'm one of them. I mean, it's just he wrote for Vox for a really long time, and then he finally left and went out on his own. And the second he was able to cobble together this entire archive, and see what you need to know is when you lose your Twitter account like that. This is the only reason you might have noticed that I don't tweet as often as I used to. I hardly ever do, because I just have this sick feeling that it isn't going to survive this. But whenever they pull you down, your entire archive goes with it. Everything that you've put on that site disappears into the Ethernet. You can't access anything that you've ever done on that platform ever again. And it's like a death of your thoughts. It's a death of your work. And nobody even contacted these people. They just took down the archives of their work. Just took it down because he had this awful decision that he just didn't want them to tweet about him. They to report about him. And by the way, nobody did anything in real time to threaten Elon Musk. Nobody did anything that would put him or his family or anybody in jeopardy. Not a single one of these journalists did anything remotely like that. No one. So he's just making crap up. Then the journalists decided to have a Twitter Space meeting, okay, to discuss what was going on. And Elon Musk joined that call. It's just a call platform. He joined the call. The journalist asked him, why are you doing this? I mean, we didn't tweet any live link. We just were referring to the link that you took down, which was inactive because you took it down. And we put that in our article so that people would know which link it was that you killed. He left the phone call after 4 minutes, and then he killed all Twitter meetings.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
There are a lot of things to clear up here. I think the most important is an accusation that he made. Elon Musk said, quote, "They posted my exact real-time location." Did you do that?
No, that's just entirely false. And from what we can see, the other journalists who have been suspended as well also did not post his precise live location.
What did you do?
This all goes back. I poked the billionaire. This all goes back to a few days ago when there's this account that tracks the location using publicly available information of his plane. And he kicked that off Twitter. He changed the rules to make it against Twitter's rules. And we were reporting on that. We were reporting on the shutdown yesterday. And late last night around 7, 8 p.m., colleague Oliver Darcy texted me to say, you've been suspended from Twitter.
Yeah. So you really, I wasn't joking, I was serious. What did you do? You just simply reported on Twitter and Elon Musk.
We did reporting. And look, I mean, I think it's important to point out here. Twitter is a private company. Yeah. It can do whatever the hell it wants, okay? You know, when it kicked off, Donald Trump, back in January 2021, many people said, look, Trump has other platforms, Twitter. As we spoke about yesterday, the First Amendment does not apply to Twitter. Right. But coming from the guy who's the free speech absolutist, who says he wants this to be a beacon of free expression. It is quite something to see him banning journalists who all just happen to cover him critically, but I would also say fairly.
Yeah, I mean, this is real, you know, a power in a person's hand to destroy the work of another human being who may have figured out a way to make a living on Twitter. Do you know, if you criticize him, then he just banishes you. And now, of course, he can. But now, who's going to want to actually participate in Twitter when you know that, you know, if you build up a following, or if you are able to, you know, protest on Twitter, or organize on Twitter, or you're able to reach the elite and give them a heads up about your dissatisfaction, and get a large amount of people to, you know, agree with you about your dissatisfaction on this issue or that. All of a sudden, you're not there anymore. All of a sudden, everything that you've done, all the organizing, all the monetization, all of the verification you've gone through, all of a sudden, poof, one guy says you're gone for no good reason. For no good reason. That's what Twitter has become. That's what it is. It's become, you know, a billionaire's play toy. And it's really sad, and it's really unnecessary. He didn't want this platform in the first place, and now it seems like, you know, he's destroying it because, you know, they forced him to buy it. So there you have it. That's what's going on with, you know, mad billionaires. He's become like Prince. You know, I don't want to besmirch Prince's, you know, memory. But anybody that ever went to a backstage meet and greet with, you know, with Prince knows that when Prince would walk into a room, he had instructions that everybody turn and face the wall so that you wouldn't make eye contact with him. It's just one of those, you know, privileged, quirky things that people, you know, It's like, you know, Van Halen. They didn't want any green M&Ms, you know, in their rider, in their tour ride. I mean, these are the games people play when they can. But he's screwing around with people's, you know, livelihood. These are all journalists that he destroyed. Every single one of the archives that he got rid of, and that's how you should think of a Twitter account. It's the archives of somebody's work, especially journalists. He just got rid of it. That is entirely too much power for a human being to have. All right, Mary in Missouri.
Oh, hi, Randy.
Hey.
I live in Missouri, which is quite red. And I just laugh my ass off every day. And my friends and neighbors. Friends.
I can hardly hear you. Are you on a speakerphone, or what's the deal?
Yeah. Took off the speaker.
Thank you.
Hey, so anyway, my boyfriend's son and daughter have a 5-year-old and a 10-month-old. The 10-month-old just came home from the hospital the other day, you know, having been on a ventilator. And they don't, you know, they're anti-vaccinists. And I said a mean thing to my boyfriend the other day. I said, I consider that child neglect.
Why are we talking about this, Mary?
Well, because there's so many people in the country that are willing to let their children go into a ventilator rather than get a goddamn vaccine.
Uh-huh.
And then my other thing was, I wanted to bring you great tidings of great joy. I am a left-handed person, and so left-handed.
Okay. Christine in South Carolina.
Hello. Listen, I want to find out something. My family and I, we were born in the United States, And my son, he worked on his job like for 30 years, and he passed, he has no wife or no children, but I'm not entitled to his Social Security. But these foreigners come over here, and they're taking care of them, and I'm struggling. I'm his mother. I'm 78 years old.
Right.
So how could they support these people, sending all that money over to Ukraine, taking care of these foreigners that's coming here, and I'm not entitled to my son's Social Security?
Well,
It's not fair.
the two things are not related. So,
like how?
Like Social Security is not a discretionary spending item. It's mandatory spending. And the rules about who can collect Social Security are, did your son support you for your life?
Yes, he did.
Okay, so if your son was your main support system, then you can, and you're over 62, which you just told me you are entitled to receive his Social Security. But if he didn't support you, if you weren't, dependent on his income for your, survival, then you're not. But Social Security is not a discretionary spending item where, border security is discretionary and it's appropriated every year by Congress. Same thing with, money to Ukraine, that's appropriated by Congress. Social Security is not that. Social Security is mandatory spending. But if your son supported you, and you can show that you were relying on him for your survival, and you're over 62, you can get his Social Security.
Okay, well, I'm 78, and that's all I wanted to.
But that's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you. They're not related. One is discretionary spending that's appropriated by Congress, a la border security money, Ukraine defense money for the military. That's appropriated by the Congress, right? And it takes 60 votes, obviously, in the Senate to do that. Social Security is mandatory spending.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
On Capitol Hill, your elected leaders have avoided a government shutdown that was to occur at midnight. They've approved a one-week spending bill while negotiators work out the details of a $1.7 trillion budget for the new fiscal year. Congress also approved $858 billion in defense spending, including military aid for Ukraine and Taiwan, a pay raise for service members, and an end to the COVID vaccine mandate for U.S. military personnel.
Okay, that's idiotic. Number one, the COVID... What, we want soldiers unvaccinated living in close quarters on submarines or in, barracks? Or fighting together on battlefields without vaccines. Oh, that's really smart. But I played that because I wanted the caller from, where was she, North Carolina, to understand that the Social Security money isn't something that we have to vote on year after year. It's a mandatory spending item. It's not discretionary spending. Thank God it's not up to a vote by Congress whether or not people get their Social Security checks. This is something Republicans want to do. They want to make Social Security subject to a vote by them every single year. This is what Senator Rick Scott, the Republican from Florida, would like to do. This is what Ron Johnson, the Republican from Wisconsin, would like to do. They would like for every single senior to not know year to year whether or not they're going to get their Social Security check next year because they haven't got it, or maybe they'll appropriate a 1 week spending. But I mean, this is ridiculous. So don't mix your meat with your milk, Missy. Okay, because Social Security has nothing to do with spending on defense or spending on funding the government or spending on military salaries or any of those things. It's not discretionary spending. It's mandatory. Mandatory. And again, you told me you were 78 years old and your son passed away, and I'm sorry about that. But if your son was your sole support, like you're not married, right, and your son was supporting you, then yes, you are able to apply for his Social Security benefit. So I don't know why people don't understand the basic function of Social Security versus appropriations, but they don't. And so they want to sit there and say, I'm an American and I want my son's Social Security, and but no clue about how to go about it, or no clue about these two things being unrelated. And thank God they're unrelated, because what you're wishing for is really dangerous and bad. John in Miami.
Yes, Randy. About a month ago, I called and we had a disagreement. I told you, why can't the Democrats start using the same taxes as the Republicans? And I cited an example of New York. I said, why can't they do the redistricting in New York? And if you notice, this past midterms, they lost 4 seats because they didn't go through. They didn't follow on their original redistricting.
That's not that. Okay, so they came up with a map, and the court said that the map was politically designed and that it couldn't stand. And the court then appointed a special master to draw the map. That's what happened.
Okay, but if you remember, I know in a couple of states, I saw it. I don't know if it was on your station. In other states, the Republicans still follow through with their original redistricting plan. So if the Democrats...
But it's a state-by-state thing, and the New York State Court decided that they were going to appoint a special master. Some states have independent commissions that draw the maps. Other states, draw the maps, and the maps are racially inappropriate, and then they go through the court system to try and argue that they're not racially inappropriate. New York, when it went through the court system, appointed a special master to draw the districts.
Oh, I see. So they had to follow that? They couldn't have...
Right. The court appointed a special master because New York drew its maps. The maps were challenged in court. The court agreed that the maps were politically designed, and they appointed a special master to draw the maps. Like I said, some states have independent commissions that draw the maps. Other states, fight it in court and go all the way through the court system and are allowed to, go into the appeals court and then the Supreme Court, etc. And North Carolina, while their maps were determined to be racially discriminatory, those maps were in place for the last election.
Oh, I see. So there was nothing they could have done in New York.
Right. It's all elections are designed and executed by the state. It's not a federal function. It's a state function, voting.
Oh, I see. Okay. So basically I was right, I was wrong, and you were right then. Okay.
No, I mean, you can't look at election laws as a federal function because each state, like I said a million times, 50 states have 50 different ways to vote.
Okay, I see. All right, thank you.
Okay. Sean in Texas.
Hey, Randy.
Hi.
Long time, first time.
Hey.
So I was looking at the first segment, the early part of your show, and it occurred to me that when we were looking at that interview with Gorka and Bannon, that what are the chances that the person that put the idea into Trump's ear to do the NFT was one of their plans that they're setting Trump up for a failure the second time around? They really don't want him to succeed, and they were disappointed that he decided to run against, DeSantis or whoever it is they want to win. And they said, hey, we could take this guy down if we set him up with this dumb idea of doing an NFT because he looks so bad. And then we get to talk about it and dog him about it. And, what do you think about that idea that he was, that he's being sabotaged?
So it doesn't matter because he's the one that signs off on it, and he said he made the commercial and he did do it. So. You know what I mean? Obviously, he's a grifter, and any idea where he can put money in his pocket, he will entertain it and he will actually deploy it and let whatever happens, happens. That's his whole attitude about anything. Whatever happens, happens. We'll see. But nobody made him do this. That's
I don't think they made him do it, but I believe that he's not that I care because I would love to see him fail. I just think that, that he has people that maybe they're working against him as opposed to really working with him this time. and he's just too dumb to realize it.
Oh, well, that's presidential material, isn't it?
Not in my book, but I just wanted to put that in your ear to see what were your thoughts on it.
So my thought on it is he did it. He actually did it. He made the video. He actually made an announcement on his own social platform, announcing his announcement the next day. So this is something that was good with him. This is something he felt okay about. This is something he did. I don't give a damn who suggested it to him. He did it. He did it because he thought, let's see what happens. We'll see what happens. And he is a grifter. And that is who he is. Now, if they're turning on him, why don't they just turn on him? Why don't they just say, I've had enough of him? And, he's just demonstrated that he has absolutely no judgment. And he just put out this, this crazy thing. No, instead, what do they say? They say, whoever told him to do that, he did it. They're mad at whoever told him to do it, but he did it. And if they are going to turn on him, what is so complicated about just saying, okay, he decided to do this. This was really bad judgment. I'm out. How hard is that? Why is everything a conspiracy? Chanel in New York.
Hi.
Hey.
I just was listening to you with regard to Trump and the NFTs and.
So just to be like super, super accurate, it's not even an NFT, which is a non-fungible token. These are just digital pictures, Photoshop pictures. They're not investment vehicles the way that NFTs are supposed to be. And there was a disclaimer, just so we're clear.
Okay. Well, I just want to know how crazy is this whole party and everything, like just beyond, because I've never seen in my history of like just how crazy this man is to have all these trials against him. He is such a fraud, and people really still stand, like even in Congress, like you have Marjorie Taylor Greene, you have all these racist people in hate. They should be like the hateful eight. What is wrong with
That's right. That's a really good one.
We got to put 8 together. I love
hope
that.
Quentin Tarantino was listening to that little reference, because that's kind of it. But here's the answer, Chanel. He's as crazy as his cult member supporters let him be. When people actually turn their backs on him and walk away, that's when the crazy stops.
No, but then all that leads to is that they're all just as crazy. Like they're crazy too. If you stand
I don't know how mentally unstable they are, but they're just as grifty. They're just as smarmy. They're just as cheesy. They're just as pathetic, and they're just as exploitive. And they're willing to, pound down the hate.
Mary had a little lamb.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me. Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
All white people, for example, they think are racist. All black people they think are victims. All women are powerless.
What?
They don't see us as individuals. That's why I appreciate what Elon Musk has done so much. He's taken a very courageous stand for the First Amendment.
What?
The man, they're beating on him like he stole Christmas. But he's tough. He's tough as a pine knot. And the man's got guts. He's got oranges the size of beach balls.
What?
And thanks to Elon Musk. Thanks to Elon Musk.
You're right.
We're going to have to get some new conspiracy theories because the old ones turned out all to be true.
What? All white people think this, all black people are that. I mean, this foghorn leghorn bit that this, Louisiana Senator John Kennedy has going on has got to come to an end. And, just like Chanel was saying, like, how long do they get away with this racist, ugly crap? How long? Well, the answer is pretty simple. As soon as the cult members, as soon as the the haters out in the audience get tired of Donald Trump's games or get tired of Elon Musk, running Twitter like his own little fiefdom, and if you disagree with Elon or if you say anything negative about Twitter, then you lose your entire account. As soon as people get hip to the fact that he's doing this to people and people walk away, that's when the crazy ends. That's when the crazy ends. The only reason why there's so much hatred is because it works with a certain segment of America. And as soon as that certain segment of America becomes so minuscule, so tiny, so unimportant, so insignificant to the election of guys like this, then they stop doing it. They only do it because it works, Chanel. That's the sad, disgusting underbelly of hatred in this country. The only reason why you have Marjorie Taylor Greene and Getz and Senator John Kennedy over there and Ron Johnson and all doing these hateful, ugly things is because it gets them elected. It gets them reelected. And when it doesn't, they will stop. When people reject this kind of hatred, when people reject this kind of talk, and it becomes unacceptable anymore and it becomes, a turnoff. I'm not saying ban. I'm just saying when it becomes a turnoff, when it stops to produce the result that they are counting on this kind of, stirring of the pot to produce, they will stop stirring the pot. It's just really that straightforward and simple. And so at some point, it has to become about us. It has to become, what are we going to do to influence, the idea that people have that anything that Donald Trump stood for or anything that Donald Trump is doing or anything that the Republican Party is doing or stands for is, good for you. If you can convince people that what they're doing is dismantling every principle of freedom, that they're taking away rights gleefully in full view of everyone, and that they don't support independent thought, that they don't support anything but groupthink, anything but group hate, anything but stirring the pot. They don't have any solutions for any of our problems. As a matter of fact, I was talking about this immigration reform thing, this issue. Okay, and the right wing has always got their panties in a bunch about immigration, right? It's like a very high performer when it comes to stirring hatred, right? It's that stir the pot of hatred, immigration. Well, it looked like Tom Tillis of North Carolina and, believe it or not, Sinema from Arizona were partnering together to do a bipartisan immigration reform bill. The damn thing was written. We haven't had immigration reform, for those of you who hate the system that we have now. We haven't done any immigration reform in this here country since 1996. That's because Republicans love this issue as a pot stirrer, right? And so you had a bipartisan agreement that was being negotiated. It was written. It was all laid out. It was done. And Sinema and Tillis wanted to attach it to the omnibus spending bill. And this would have actually made immigration manageable in this country because it would have created new asylum centers, new judges. I was telling you about this. I've been telling you about this. But yesterday we actually explained to you what was in this particular piece of legislation, right? It was in exchange for 2 million kids who were brought here as children, who have lived here for, 20 years, who have studied here, who don't know anything about their former country. Okay, they are American for all intent and purposes. They never got in trouble with the law in any way because they would have lost their status as DACA, right, as dreamers. So these are law-abiding, decent kids who, through no fault of their own, were brought here as children. There's 2 million Americans like that. And so in exchange for not citizenship, oh no, oh hell no, because that would be too direct a path, right? They would create a path for them to now get on that could one day lead to citizenship, right? That's all it was. But then we would give everything that the Republicans wanted. We would create new processing centers that would detain incoming asylum seekers. We would find money to increase their legal and health services while they were being detained if they qualified to seek asylum, if they had a, quote, credible fear of persecution if they were returned to their home country. That's what determines whether or not you're eligible to seek asylum. And those who passed that test would then get a final hearing, and that hearing would be expedited, meaning on a much faster track, because now it could take decades. Do you know that? And because it could take decades to get an asylum determination, people actually flee and go into the interior of the country, avoid police, avoid working. They can't work, right? They live under the radar while they're waiting decades sometimes to have their asylum status determined by a judge. So this bill would have had new processing centers that would detain asylum seekers with increased legal and health services while they waited for the initial adjudication of whether or not they had credible fear of persecution if they returned home. If they passed that test, then they would get a final hearing much, much faster because we would invest in legal processing. And those who failed to make that, to meet the requirements of an asylum test would be deported expeditiously instead of, letting them linger and not showing up for hearings and going into the interior of the country. So that's what was on the table, and it would have been a great thing. It would have been comprehensive immigration reform, which is something everyone in this country wants. People don't know what comprehensive immigration reform looks like. That's why these things that I just told you aren't things that the people who hate immigrants ever think about as a solution to the problem, because they don't understand what is causing the problem, right? And also Title 42, which is the health restriction. If Title 42 is lifted, this would have helped to solve the problem, right? It would have helped. But you know that the Republicans want crisis at the border and they want chaos at the border. And so they walked away. And this deal is now dead. This deal is now dead. And it has died many, many times. Under W, there was comprehensive immigration reform, and the Republicans walked away in the House at that time. The Republicans in the House walked away from it. So this is what creates opportunity for the hatred. And if you solve that problem, that would be one less tool they could use to stir the pot of hatred. But Chanel, our job as citizens of this country is to educate others who are willing to be stirred up around hatred of immigrants by telling them this truth. At some point, we have to take responsibility for what other people know or don't know.
I watched it on TV.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
It is now just a matter of days until the nation learns what the January 6th committee now knows about the violent attack on the Capitol. The committee spent nearly 2 years investigating the siege that rocked the nation, carried out by Trump supporters determined to keep that man in the White House. Today, the panel announced that this Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern, members will take the first step towards revealing their findings. And Axios reports the committee chairman hinting new evidence may be revealed at that hearing. Benny Thompson told the website this: it could be evidence that we have not shared in the hearings. The committee is expected to vote on the final report and on any criminal referrals to the Justice Department and potentially other agencies.
And are you settled on referrals? Is that all tied up? All done.
And tonight, the New York Times reports the committee is weighing criminal referrals against Donald Trump and his allies. The report goes on to say the panel was considering referrals to 5 or 6 different entities, including the Justice Department, the Health Ethics Committee, the Federal Election Commission, and bar associations. The 1-6 committee's final report is expected to be made public on Wednesday. Remember, House Republicans have promised that an investigation of the Select Committee's work is also coming as soon as their party takes control in January. Much of the January 6th committee's evidence, including transcripts of witness interviews, will soon be going to the Department of Justice. And Bloomberg now reporting recent subpoenas from special counsel Jack Smith indicate that a new grand jury will be in place at least through March of 2023.
Great.
One of the key figures in Trump's fight to overturn Biden's 2020 win is now facing a serious punishment for making false claims of election fraud. A committee for the D.C. bar today recommended former Trump lawyer, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani may be disbarred. The D.C. Court of Appeals will make the final decision on disciplining Giuliani coming up.
It's so slow, Justice, isn't it? I mean, this all happened 2 years ago, and now it has to go. The Rudy Giuliani issue, okay, let's just take that one. The Rudy Giuliani issue took 2 years for the D.C. bar to actually hear the case of Rudy Giuliani claiming that ballots needed to be thrown out in the state of Pennsylvania in court based on zero supporting evidence, zero evidence of any type, zero evidence attached to any of the filings at all, just lying and lying and lying and misrepresenting any doable, knowable facts to the court, right? So 2 years later, the D.C. bar has finally heard the case of Rudy Giuliani abusing the courts as a officer of the court. That's what a lawyer is, an officer of the court. And they said, well, it looks like he might be disbarred. It looks like, but you know what? He can go to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals and make his case there. What? He'll be dead before any decision is reached, right? This is so painful because, in this country, if you don't have money, you have to, pretty much take a plea deal, even if you didn't do it, because you can't afford to be charged with 20 things you didn't do for the one thing maybe you did, because you wouldn't be able to defend against everything they threw at you. And so you take a plea deal, and sometimes you plead guilty to something you didn't even do. But if you have money, my God, man, 2, 5, 10, look at Alex Jones. I mean, this is just unbelievable. The jury this year in 2022 adjudicated him $956 million worth of damages. He'll never pay it. He'll never pay it. And nothing will happen to him. Nothing will happen. He's still broadcasting, okay? It's crazy. Bannon last year, I don't know if anybody even remembers this, but 2022 was a big year for judgments, right? Bannon was adjudicated guilty for, avoiding a congressional subpoena. He's still broadcasting. Nothing's happened to him. And now on Monday at 1 o'clock, the January 6th Select Committee is going to vote out criminal referrals, which are non-binding, completely, what's the word? They're not real. They have no effect in law. They're just sort of, and they're going to say that Donald Trump committed crimes. They're going to issue criminal referrals for Donald Trump, and they're going to accuse him of participating in an insurrection. They're going to accuse him of obstruction of justice. They're going to accuse him of not complying with a congressional subpoena, which last year Congress voted to subpoena Donald Trump's documents and testimony, and he just thumbed their nose at them. And Monday, I'm supposed to alert the media. Wait, I am the media, and I don't find this to be jarring. But Monday, the media is going to go into a feeding frenzy about the criminal referrals that the January 6th Select Committee issued that have absolutely no effect in law. None. They're going to refer to the only place where I could see any of this ever creating an environment of contretemps would be in the Ethics Committee. And why do I say that? Because the Ethics Committee, unlike all the other committees, no matter who has the majority, Democrats or Republicans, the ethics committee is always equal. There's always the same number of Democrats as Republicans, no matter who has the majority in the ethics committee. Other than that, the Republicans take over every committee. The Republicans take over the Judiciary Committee. They take over the Oversight Committee. They take over every committee you could possibly think might be in a position to hold Donald Trump and his ilk accountable for violence committed on January 6th against the body in which they serve. And that will not happen. Instead, come January, when we come back after this vacation, and you know I am going on vacation. Today's the last show of 2022. But when we come back, it'll be January 2nd, 2023. And we will have a new Congress. And it will be, the House will be in the Republicans' control. And you will have guys like Jim Jordan, who was part of this conspiracy to overthrow the results of a free and fair election, who was part of it, and 147 other Republican members of the House who didn't want to certify the results of a free and fair election, in charge of our House of Representatives, in charge of legislation, in charge of enforcing the laws, in charge of legislation, in charge of appropriations, in charge of tax policy. They will, and all we're going to see next year are those miscreants investigating the investigators. Jim Jordan is going to investigate Adam Schiff. Jim Jordan is going to investigate Benny Thompson. Jim Jordan is going to investigate Hunter Biden and Nancy Pelosi. Yes. How do we get to Nancy Pelosi? Well, he's going to accuse her of not protecting the Capitol, as if that wasn't the job of the National Guard, which Donald Trump ordered not to be armed that day. Remember that. The acting, Secretary of Defense put out that memo. It's on my Twitter account, see? And if I signed up for Twitter, they would, I'd lose my whole archive. But anyway, he said, National Guard unarmed that day. We don't want them armed that day. We don't want them armed. Remember?
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
So on Monday, for show, that's what I'm saying, for appearances, for, it's just strictly performative. The Select Committee is going to refer Donald Trump and others, and I'm going to guess it's going to be Rudy Giuliani, it's going to be Eastman, it's going to be Jeff Clark. Okay, it's going to be all these psychos that we're trying to say there's an independent legislature there. The legislatures can send a different slate of electors. You can undo the results of an election if the legislature votes. And we're on the phone soliciting, election interference from state legislatures, etc. That's all going to be referred to various committees and to the Department of Justice on Monday at 1 o'clock. By the Select Committee. Now, the Select Committee's job was to make us aware of all the information about who funded, who organized, how armed, where they were, who they were, the 3%ers, the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, the President of the United States, the Jeff Clarks, the Eastmans. Their job was to explain to us this plot, this coup attempt, this non-bloody coup attempt, the Eastman part of it, and then the bloody coup attempt, the Trump part of it. And they did do their job because America recoiled in horror, I think, and that is why this election went the way it did, meaning we didn't lose a Senate seat and we only lost a few House seats, but enough to give them, the Republicans, the majority in the House, which is just crazy. I mean, it's so scary. I can't even tell you, because all this stuff that's unresolved about our budget, about the debt limit, all these things that, immigration reform will never happen now. You understand it will never happen. For the next 2 years, you're just going to see people inciting other people to hatred and violence because of the situation at the border, because the Republicans refuse to do anything meaningful to ease the situation at the border, to help Border Patrol. By the way, that deal I was just describing to you that's dead now, that Sinema and Tillis were working together on, Border Patrol, which is very right-wing politically, they endorsed it. They wanted this deal. So when they're down with it, then you know that this actually had a chance of solving some of the problems at the border. But Republicans aren't interested in solving any of your problems. And I just want everybody to remember that, because the next 2 years, it's going to be a hate-a-thon. It's going to be hate fest, okay? And all because they love this issue. They love this issue. Think about what happened when Roe fell. They lost the issue. Americans had to grapple with what it really meant to lose rights to choose, to lose autonomy in your own person, and they rejected it. They're not happy with that. So trust me, they don't want to solve any other problems, to their satisfaction, because America won't like it. Dave in Michigan.
Yeah. Hey. Is this you?
Yes.
Oh, hey. First-time caller. Good to talk to you.
You too.
Thank you very much. Went to heaven right there. Anyway, hey, how does this work out when the indictments go down for Donald Trump and all the stuff through DOJ? Is there restitution charges and stuff like that he also gets recovered? From the government putting all his time and money into his trials and stuff.
Oh, I see. So it just depends on where he's tried and for what.
Yeah. Well, I'm just wondering how many top things that they're gonna get. They would get him for, and so on. How many things what it's worth. How do you put a price tag? Is it just a general price or what?
No, there's not a general price. Each charge carries with it its own penalties, and it depends on what he's convicted of in the end, right? So if they charge him with solicitation to interfere in an election, and that's charged in, let's say, Georgia, right, where we have that phone call. Then in Georgia, there's $100,000 of restitution that's required to be made by the person who did that. And also there's a loss of liberty, 1 to 3 years. So it depends where he's charged and with what.
Okay, because I'm just wondering, a lot of this stuff has never been done before. It's never been, recorded.
None of this stuff has ever been done before because we never had a president who tried to overthrow the government. Okay, we just never did.
How do you put a price on it? That's what I'm saying. How do you put a price on the day thing? You know what I mean?
Because there are laws on the books that actually, say that interfering in an election is, a crime. There are laws on the books that say solicitation to interfere, just asking for somebody to interfere, which is what we have, let's say, in Georgia on that phone call, right? That is a crime. There's crimes of, interfering in an official proceeding of Congress. So it just depends on, what he's charged with and what he's found guilty of. And then there's, penalties for each and every one of those penalties, for each and every one of those felonies. It's a felony.
The penalties cover what we put into, government's put into all the time and everything, or what?
Again, it depends on which felonies he's found guilty of. Each one of these charges would be a felony. And if he's found guilty of a felony, meaning a law on the books, a federal law, a federal crime, a felony, or a state crime that's a felony, then there are classes of felonies. There's a class B, there's a class C, and whatever he's found guilty of is what he will be sentenced to, making a restitution on.
And a lot of this stuff has never been done before.
You're conflating you're mixing two different things. Everything he would be charged with exists in law as a felony. Everything. It's just that we've never charged a former president of the United States with any of these felonies because we've never had a president of the United States commit any of these felonies. But these felonies exist.
Okay. So.
Oh my God. Wow. We have to start teaching, basic civics in school again, I think. I honestly, I don't get it. I don't get, isn't there, it's never been done before. No, we've never had a president commit felonies before. But we have felonies that have to do with election interference, that have to do with insurrection, that have to do with, trying to block an official proceeding of Congress. Those things are all on the books. We have seditious conspiracy on the books. We just saw people get found guilty of seditious conspiracy, right? We just saw that. Now we wait for the sentencing and we find out what price they have to pay for violating these felonies. The only thing that's never been done before is that we've never had a president commit these felonies before. But these laws exist and have existed since we were founded, okay? Since we started having elections. Oh my God, it's vacation time, right? Right?
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
All right, Catherine in Baltimore.
Hi, Randi.
Hi.
How are you? Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Yeah, I just heard something. I don't know if there's anything behind it or not, but someone was saying that they heard that some of the...
Oh, wait. Someone was saying that they heard. Okay, yeah.
Yes,
right.
From their uncle's brother's cousin's sister. That some of the
from their
Democrats,
hairdresser's mailman, yes.
Yes. That some of the Democrats are planning to object to some of the new members that are being sworn in January in the House because of the clause in the Constitution that says if you're involved in an insurrection, you're not allowed to hold office. I didn't know if you had heard anything about that, or would that just be symbolic, or
symbolic? That's the word I was groping for. That's the word, symbolic. Thank you. So, my hairdresser's mailman's uncle's friend did not tell me anything about...
Who had a year of law school.
Right. Did not tell me anything about new members. However, it's interesting because, Catherine, the old members, the returning members, the ones who literally aided and abetted and participated, like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Jim Jordan and Biggs and Gosar and all that, that would be a real interesting thing if Democrats objected based on the 14th Amendment, which says if you've ever participated in an insurrection against this country, you can't hold a position of honor or trust to object to their being sworn in. That would work for me. I mean,
me too.
I would like it.
Okay, well, I'm going to go tonight try and research that and see if I can find any newspaper articles.
Well, where did you actually hear it? Do you know?
I heard it in the elevator.
In the elevator. Too bad.
I was in the Johns Hopkins, and I was going to my doctor, and there was a lady in the elevator, and we were talking about politics, and she said, "Watch this." So I didn't get a chance to hear who she, what.
It's an awesome. It's an awesome idea. I mean, I freaking love it. Johns Hopkins is a great hospital. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. It was just a checkup.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yes, it is a great hospital.
It's a fabulous hospital. But
and I have a little joke for you for the end of the year. See if I can remember it right. Technically, Moses was the first person with a tablet to download data from the cloud onto a tablet.
That's cute.
That's my little holiday joke.
Okay, here's mine for you. A man goes to the doctor. Doctor says, you got to stop masturbating. Man says, why? Doctor says, so I can examine you. Merry Christmas, Catherine.
You too. I'm going to send you a note that somebody left and somebody that had to move someone's clothes out of the dryer. It's hilarious.
Okay.
I'll mail it to you. Great. Happy holidays. Bye-bye.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy New Year to you. Bill in California? No. Oh, brother David in Michigan. Hey.
Happy, festive, frazzled, frozen, non-fungible Friday, sister. The final one of the year, and here we are.
Woohoo!
What a year it's been.
I was looking for a urine review thing. It's on in the homework today. I did too. I did a urine review in news and a urine review in pop culture.
Yes.
Really, when I was reviewing all the crap that happened last year, I got to say it wasn't as bad. It didn't suck as hard as the year before, which is good. It seems to me that next year will be better because inflation is easing and we might get back to like some sort of normal next year, which is great. Gas is below $3 now, which is unbelievable.
It's like the fever has broken.
Yes,
and there's still residual, but it has broken.
And the only pop culture thing that I actually remember from last year is the Will Smith slapping thing.
Well, that's going to go down in infamy, obviously.
Right? So,
be sure to check the show's post office box Monday or Tuesday, and I will spill my tongue and say no more. Because we're going to lasso Santa Claus. To you and the chat room, hi chat room, and to all your listeners, seriously, whatever you celebrate, even if you don't celebrate, we did get through this year, and it is getting better, bit by bit by bit. That said, I'm a little nervous about the next 2 years in the House, but I don't have that terror.
So let me just say this. The next year in the House is going to be nothing but Hunter Biden all day, every day. It's going to be literally dick pics. It's going to be stories of a guy who had a coke problem. And somehow this is going to generate hatred for his dad. I don't know. But this is the goal. This is what they're trying to do. This is all we're going to be treated to. We'll walk right up to the edge of defaulting the United States, the full faith and credit.
Again.
I mean, they're going to torture us that way. And, Joe Biden will be cool, calm, and collected. He'll wear his aviator sunglasses. He'll go out in public. He will say, check the price of gas. He will say, check the price of groceries. Everybody else in the world is paying. It got double-digit inflation. I get... and we will listen to whichever one of those two things that they're inclined to listen to.
You nailed it earlier in the show. Of course, we're the same age, 39, and holding on to our memories of being 39. But civics, social studies, basic principles. You and I grew up on this. I am grateful with the Senate that she who must be protected at all costs, heartbeat away, I rest my case, can now rest her gavel, tie-breaking arm. I worry about her elbow. And, there still are really more of us, and I feel it. I feel like we're going to somehow keep lurching forward and hitting our shins on the table, but moving towards that better island together. Gorgeous hurdles for everyone.
You. All right. Happy Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Bless you. Thank you. I love you. I will always love you. Everybody in the chat room loves you. Brett loves you. I love you. Howard loves you. Jessica loves you. Everybody loves you. This audience loves you. So thank you for being my Friday date for every Friday that I've had on the air forever. And I really do appreciate you. However, it ain't going to, things next year will not progress. We are going to be stuck in the mire and the muck of Republican chaos and crisis making. It is what they do. It is who they are. It is how they will govern. They will never try to, nor will they pretend to be they may pretend to be solving any of our problems, okay? They are going to try like crazy to do things like privatize Social Security. They're going to try like crazy to steal in the midst of the crisis and the chaos that they are going to manufacture. So whatever, solutions that are easily attainable to our problems, they will not be pursued by this incoming Congress. The Senate is a different story. The Senate is, more sane, let's say, and the Senate is, 51 Democrats, okay, and 49 Republicans. Still, and this is where this will become a boon instead of a boondoggle. Because we did not change the legislative filibuster rule, but the Republicans did change the filibuster rule for judges. Yeah, so now a judge can be seated with just a mere majority because that's what Mitch McConnell did. That's what Mitch McConnell wanted to do, and that's what Mitch McConnell did. He changed the filibuster to confirm justices and judges, but they did not change the legislative 60-vote threshold for pieces of legislation. And that is going to become a very important thing next year because the House is going to go cuckoo, crazy. They're Cocoa Puffs crazy. They're bat crap crazy. I hope Catherine I hope Catherine's elevator ride produces some sort of result where the Democrats literally do object to insurrectionists being, being seated in the United States Congress. That would be fascinating. However, they will be seated, and they will begin to investigate the investigators who investigated the insurrection. I mean, that's what we're going to be going through next year. No legislation, nothing to improve your life, my life, anybody's life. No. Know why? 60 votes. But we can seat justices like crazy. We could do that all day, every day. And I believe we have at least 88 seats to fill, so let's get busy. Listen, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. Meet me back here on January 2nd. Hopefully we'll be sane.